So this is Doom 64. First time I play this game. Was an exclusive Nintendo 64 game back in the day. I never had a Nintendo 64, so I never played it until now, because they released it on PlayStation and Xbox. Well, that was bad. What's interesting about this version of Doom is that, unlike other console versions of Doom, this isn't a port. Doom came out on pretty much every system, from way back in the Super Nintendo, the Atari Jaguar, PlayStation, Sega Saturn, Sega 32X, and even the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. I think, I'm not sure if PlayStation 3 had the original Doom, but those were all ports of the original Doom. They usually combined Doom 1 and Doom 2, or because of system limitations, they picked a couple of levels from both those games. Usually those ports weren't quite good. They had slow frame rates, they lacked levels, especially the Sega Saturn version was really bad. I used to play that one. I had it on PC, but when the Sega Saturn failed, the local game store was practically giving their Sega Saturn games away for dirt cheap, so I picked it up. It was pretty bad. I think the frame rate was maybe 20 frames per second. It was slow and jerky. It missed a lot of levels. And it had a few good things going for it. One of them was the music. The music was pretty great. The original Doom had a rocking soundtrack, but the Sega Saturn version had a more a more atmospheric soundtrack, kinda like this one. But even better, a lot better actually. This one is creepy and atmospheric, but you can still hear the limitations of the N64. which was cartridge based, so it didn't have a lot of memory. Sega Saturn of course had CDs, so it had great sound, it had a great music, so that was the best part. It was a lot darker than this. It was dark and creepy. Great soundtrack. Soundtrack sounded a lot like the soundtrack of Quake. But great soundtrack doesn't mean a lot when the game is shit, because this runs pretty smooth. Doom on Sega Saturn ran very laggy, very slow, and that's strange because Quake on Sega Saturn was actually very good, even though it's more technically demanding game. It was far better. So I don't know what went wrong with the Doom port for Sega Saturn. I think it had something to do with John Carmack being an asshole. But I'm not sure about that. He was an asshole about one of the ports, and that's why one of the ports was bad. I don't know, it was the Saturn port, but he made some strange demands for one of the ports. Could have been another one, and as a result the port was bad, and he later admitted it. That John Carmack later admitted it. He made a huge mistake making those demands because it ruined the game. But Doom Saturn was also ruined. As a kid, I still enjoyed it because it was dark and creepy. It ran. It had a terrible frame rate, but it was still pretty fun. But if I were to play it now, I would probably hate it. The PlayStation version, I never had the PlayStation version, but I played it, and it was a lot better. I played the Super Nintendo version. Yeah, that sucked. That was pretty bad. The Sega 32X version was pretty decent. It was a lot better than the Saturn version, even though the 32X is a weaker system. It was an add-on for the Mega Drive. The 32X, let's kill these fuckers. The 32X was actually a good system. It boosted the Mega Drive. It gave it new life, but There's a lot of behind the scenes shenanigans going on with Sega. Basically, there was a rivalry between Sega of America and Sega of Japan. One was pushing the Saturn, one was pushing the 32X, and as a result they both flopped commercially because both are excellent systems, both had excellent games. Some of my favorite games, I never had a 32X, but and every Sega emulator for Mega Drive can also play 32X games, with a few exceptions like Virtua Racing, because that had a chip built in the cartridge to enable 3D graphics on what was essentially a 2D system. That could have been the Mega Drive version. I don't know if it was for the 32X version as well, but yeah, there were good games on the 32X. There was Mortal Kombat 2, the best home version of Mortal Kombat 2 was on the 32X. It was like the Mega Drive version, but yeah, bigger and better, of course. It ran smoother, it looked better. Yeah, I should concentrate more on playing the game, because I'm just talking. Oh. Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I forgot to pick up the chainsaw. With the chainsaw, this would have been an easy fight. I forgot it. Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Yeah. And that's coming from a fucking Doom Master. Old school Doom players know what I'm talking about. And FAQ, they were those Doom honorary titles. You basically had to play Doom in a certain way, do some challenges, and then you got the title. Some of them were really hard. There was a Doom Pacifist. That's playing Doom, the original Doom, without killing anyone. That's pretty hard. Of course you can have the demons trick. You can trick the demons into fighting each other, so that counts because you're not killing them. There was Doom Tyson, you know, like the boxer. That meant you could only use your fist. That was pretty doable because you had the Berserker upgrade, which means you can one punch the baddies, and there were, I did I eventually did Doom Grandmaster. There's some controversy about what exactly is Doom Grandmaster, because different sources have different requirements. The original FAQ by Hank Lucarts says finish any level of the original Doom using only chainsaw, pistol and fists on ultra violence, but with fast monsters. Back in it was a DOS game, so you had a command line and you could type in when you started Doom, you typed in Doom, and then you behind that you typed in fast, and that made all the monsters faster. Like you would have an nightmare difficulty. So basically, when you played ultra violence with fast, it was essentially nightmare without the monsters respawning. And some say for to be a Doom Grandmaster you have to play on nightmare, but I disagree with that. Not because I couldn't do it, but because I just don't like playing Nightmare by myself. I think Nightmare mode is great for co-op play. If you play co-op, ultra violence is just too easy. Me and my buddy Ignite, we played Doom on Nightmare mode. We first played on ultra violence, but with two guys it's just too easy, and on Nightmare mode the bad guys respawn, so there's no shortage of dudes to kill, and they're fast. They drop half the, I think they drop half the ammo they normally do, and they shoot twice as fast. So you really have to know where they are, so they don't surprise you. You really need to get the drop on them. So it's basically you have to know the levels, know where every monster is, and you have to be real fast because you have very limited ammo. And oh, that was bad. And I know a lot of people love to speedrunning in Doom. It's a whole sub-community, but it's not my thing. I'm not a speedrunner. I don't care for it. I have a lot of respect for people who can finish a Doom level in 10 seconds or something like that. That's amazing if you can do that, but it's not my thing. My thing is playing Doom with using weak weapons, like yeah, just use your fists, your pistol, and of course chainsaw. That's how I like to play Doom. Because you can see I'm not really fast. I would be terrible at speedrunning. Okay, now you're ready. Sneaky. Yeah, you can cheese a lot of enemies by just waiting around the corner with your chainsaw. The hardest parts of playing Doom as a grandmaster is the bosses, of course. Try killing a cyber demon without any heavy artillery. It can be done. I've done it. I don't think I could do it today. My skills aren't what they used to be. I was over no, it was more than a decade ago. Well, I got my first computer around 1995, and I didn't get my second computer in 2003, no, 2001. So there were a lot of PC games I couldn't play because my old PC couldn't handle them. So I played a lot of my old games. I had Doom and Doom 2, and I just played those games over and over and over and over again until I got like really good at it. I mean, I could probably finish the first episode of Doom blindfolded. I have actually done that not blindfolded, but just from memory, guided a friend of mine through the game. Just go left here, go right there, you find the key there. That's how much I used to play Doom. And and even when I got a console, a Sega Saturn, instead of getting new games, I just got Doom again. And when I got my Xbox 360, I also got Doom again. Yeah, and now Doom 64. Never played it before, but yeah, I'm giving it a try. It's very different, very from. It doesn't feel like Doom. It feels like It feels like Quake. Which isn't a bad thing because I like Quake. Quake 2 I like even more. For some reason, Quake 2 is a very divisive game. I don't understand that. I think it's one of the best first-person games ever made. In fact, and a lot of people are gonna call me crazy for this, but I think Quake 2 is a better game than Half-Life. Fight me. No, seriously, fight me. In a computer game, of course. I'm always up. If you want to play with me or against me, there's a Discord link in the description. And you can kick my ass in Half-Life if you want, or in Quake 2. You can kick my ass in Half-Life, but I'm gonna kick your ass in Quake 2, for sure. One of the reasons I like Quake 2 so much is when I finally got my new PC and a Voodoo card. I was finally able to play a lot of games I missed out, and Quake 2 was one of them. I could actually run Quake 1 on my old PC without a 3D card, just in software mode. I had a 486, which was just the bare minimum, but it was a 486 100 hertz, which was pretty high end because there were that was about on par with low-end Pentiums. You had the Pentium 100, well I had a 486 100. So I could play Duke Nukem, Quake, Half-Life. I could actually it ran terrible, but I could play Half-Life in software mode. I tried playing the Quake 2 demo, but no, it didn't work. So Half-Life didn't really work either. It was terrible in software mode. But I eventually got a new PC and an AMD K6 and a 3D card. I don't remember which one. I think a Voodoo 2 or whatever. And by that time, Quake 2, Half-Life, all those games were